Welcome to Tech Talk, where innovation meets customer experience in the digital age. My name is Larah Sta. I'll be your host for our very first episode. Our guest today is a seasoned leader with experience across multiple roles spanning 24 years in the organization. He is currently responsible for our entire Philippines Concentrix entity, 46 sites, and over 100,000 game changers strong. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my boss, although he doesn't let me call him that, Amit Jagga. Welcome today, boss. Welcome to our first episode.
Thank you so much, Lara. And I have to say, I'm extremely nervous today.
So am I.
But my reason for nervousness is you, because you're the best speaker in our team. And they've made you the host. And so like, you're here, I'm here. And now you understand what my nervousness is all about.
You're too kind. But so exciting to have you in our first episode for Tech Talk, Amit.
Absolutely.
Today, please do join us as we journey along the tracks of technology and customer experience in the advent of new trends. We will break down some key concepts. We're going to try to understand how we can utilize new tools to improve our career and even learn something new along the way about generative AI, machine learning, and everything in between. We've tried ChatGPT in one way or another, but how familiar are we with generative AI? In this episode, we will cover critical generative AI concepts and talk about how Concentrix is leading the way in this field. Have you ever watched The Simpsons?
Yes,
Okay.
I have a few times.
So
Now I'm really confused where this is going. But
So The Simpsons actually, for our listeners, and you probably know as well, Amit, The Simpsons has been running for like 30 plus years now, and they've been known to have a really high percentage of accuracy in making predictions about future events. Like Trump's presidency was featured in some episode, and even the smartwatch was featured. In I think around 2010. They had featured an episode on artificial intelligence. And in this episode, Mr. Burns had replaced all the workers with robots, AI robots, and this obviously turned the town upside down. And it resulted to a 99% unemployment rate. So it is, a lot of people now are asking, because The Simpsons had done such a great job predicting, is this where we're headed? So this is probably one of the things we're gonna touch on amid just the impact of generative AI. So let's get right to it.
absolutely. And I hope The Simpsons got it wrong for this one.
So do I. So let's start with what is generative AI. I think a lot of people, we hear the term a lot these days, obviously both in professional and personal settings. So generative AI, as I've come to understand it, Amit, is the simulation of human intelligence in machines to enable them to perform tasks that typically would require human thinking. This is my basic, simple definition of it. Or my daughter, Max, who's 12 years old, calls it, when you ask her, she'll just say, it's just computers humaning. I think she got that from adulting, which I think is not entirely inaccurate. So this is my definition of generative AI as I've come to understand it. But there are so many terms, Amit. Large language models, pre-trained transformers. So maybe we can start there. Maybe you can help demystify this a little bit for us. Where do you want to start? LLMs, large language models.
So large language models pretty much overlaps, with generative AI, because we've been hearing this term large language models over and over.
Yeah.
But to understand large language models, we have to understand the genesis of Gen AI. If you go back to the traditional AI or artificial intelligence, it was being tasked to do a specific task. So we would develop an algorithm A, which will complete task A, and then we will, develop an algorithm B to complete task B.
Yeah.
And then what the engineers started to do was that they started to look at these large models, which could do multiplicity of these transactions together. And that is where the term comes from, foundational models. Now, going from foundational models to large language models. So as the name suggests, language,
Right.
these are text-based models. And what we do in these models is we ingest a huge amount of text data. And when you ingest a huge amount of text data, the data is unsupervised, which means we're picking data up from places like Reddit or
Yeah.
or
Quora.
Quora or Wikipedia,
Yeah.
all these places, or a million books that are out there,
Yeah.
which are free on the internet, and we ingest that data into these language models, and then they're able to do multiple tasks together. So you ask them a question which is in a specific language, usually English, because that's where most of the large language models are based out of. And then they're able to respond in that natural language itself. And in between, they're doing huge amount of compute to be able to give you responses. And they're also able to generate or predict the next word, which is a key element of why we call it generative AI. Because if you create a sentence, if you try creating a sentence, the sentence could be anything. So for example, you're trying to create a sentence saying Concentrix is a, and that's it. The generative part of AI is able to predict that we're trying to say Concentrix is a great place to work.
Right.
So, which it actually
Well,
is.
it actually absolutely is.
So that's how the generative part of AI is working, because when we ingest a lot of data into it, it is able to understand patterns, and then it's able to generate the next words or complete something.
Right. And so that's why it feels like you're conversing with a human-like entity almost, right? Because it's working across all of that information. What about transformers? I mean, this is pre-trained transformers, I think, is one that we also hear in the context of GPT.
So
Yeah.
very overlapping again.
Okay.
But really, if you were to look at the difference between a pre-trained transformer and Gen AI and LLMs, it's really that Gen AI is a field.
Yeah.
LLM is the specific instance of where we've ingested a lot of data. And pre-trained transformers, really to look at it, is the structure or the architecture on which that specific instance of LLM has been built. So if I were to give an analogy, if you are looking at constructing a house, and you need a design first. You need some design principles. So those design principles are the pre-trained transformers in the field of Gen AI. And then the actual house that you build is the actual instance of that LLM, which is processing that information and interacting with us.
Okay, that's an excellent analogy. I think, Amit, that puts into perspective how these terms coincide or overlap, as you said. Another term that's quite widely used is, I have a great joke on this. Well, it's not great. Why did the generative AI go to therapy? Any guesses?
Because it was hallucinating. I got it.
I told you it was corny, but yes, because of hallucinations, because it was hallucinating. So, AI hallucinations, Amit, as I've come to understand them, again, are instances when a generative AI chatbot or computer vision tool perceives patterns incorrectly or inaccurately, right? And so the output is typically nonsensical or inaccurate. It may be a sentence that's not grammatical or something that makes no sense at all. But which is really such an interesting concept. Why do they happen, though? Right? I mean, I think that's what I'm curious about, and probably a lot of our listeners are too. Why do hallucinations occur?
So there are various reasons why hallucinations can happen. Uh, Obviously, one big part is the accuracy of the LLM's compute. Are they able to find the right variables for your response? But from a user's perspective, really, if we have to look at the key reasons for hallucinations, the first big one is, as we were discussing earlier, that a lot of unsupervised data is going into a lot of these LLMs.
Yeah.
And when the data is unsupervised, not all facts match each other. So when there is conflict between two facts, the AI gets confused and will give a response which does not make sense. So that's one big reason, because there's somebody who's written something on Reddit or on Quora,
Right.
which could be factually incorrect, and when you're asking a question, the AI is going to that thread of data and therefore is responding to you, which does not make sense, or which is factually incorrect.
Yeah.
A great example is when Google came out with Bard. It was very interesting to see that it gave incorrect response to when it was asked about the James Webb Telescope and some
Yes.
of the things, and it said that the first picture of a planet outside of solar system was clicked by James Webb Telescope, which was factually incorrect. So
Incorrect.
it was an example of a hallucination that happened with AI. The other reason which users can control to actually reduce hallucinations is the prompts that we do. The prompts are the actual questions that we ask, and the better our prompt, the better the context to the prompt, the less the hallucination, because you're able to create the right questioning so
Yeah.
that the AI is able to, or the LLM is able to give you a better response and reduce the hallucinations there.
So it is the catalyst, right, to the output that the AI is going to produce, the prompt. That's how it functions. That's how it comes in.
Absolutely. And that's why prompt engineering is becoming a big field. Because, to
Yes.
be able to refine the prompts helps the LLMs or the Gen AI solutions to give better
Yep.
responses.
Yes.
The other aspect is tuning. The more you fine tune the algos in the Gen AI platforms, the better and more accurate they get. And that is why it is predicted that with the passage of time, more and more accuracy will come in most of these platforms.
Now, are there any other models, Amit, just like language models? What are the other models that are out there?
So, like the name suggested, language is about text data. Vision is about pictures. So vision models are the models where you they can generate pictures. So you ask a question and they're able to generate a picture out of it, or they can ingest pictures into it. So that those are vision models. Then there are code models which can code for you. So all our low code, no code solutions that we're working on today are all coming from code models.
Yes.
There are multiple other kinds of models that are getting developed, and recently Apple and Google announced a partnership where they're working on a multi-model model, which means one model which can ingest text, which can ingest pictures, which can
Yep.
ingest vision and code, and come up with multiple solutions in a single go. So pretty simple to understand now what a model is from a Gen
Yes.
AI perspective.
That's amazing. Now let's dive into another very interesting topic, Amit, which what are the advantages and challenges of generative AI? I like to think of generative AI as sort of bringing us closer to superhuman status because it's really about empowering and enabling us to become more efficient and more effective at what we do. So we see enhanced productivity for our folks. For example, in our field, we see enhanced experiences for our customers, and of course, internally, it's making us more efficient as employees as well as game changers. Where we've deployed it, we've seen things like a 20% improvement in efficiency, 100% compliance. So there's real data now to back up how much we can gain from generative AI, which is all well and good. But now let's talk about the challenges. What are those challenges?
Lots of challenges as well, Lara. It's a very new field. So obviously anything new comes with a set of challenges. And we can't talk through all, but really the top three that I would like to touch upon as the big three challenges. The first one is the compute cost. We spoke about how we are ingesting huge amount of data, which is both structured and unstructured, to be able to provide us the responses that we need. Now, when we're talking about millions and billions of gigabytes of data, it needs a lot of compute to be able to provide the response to us, to be able to do the task for us.
Yeah.
So that's the first big challenge, that we have to get the compute costs lower over a period of time. So that's the first part. The second part is trust and safety issues.
Yeah.
Going back to again the fundamentals of how this data is coming in. A lot of this data is coming in from open internet.
Yeah.
So isn't there some hate speech on open internet? There is.
Yes.
There are lots of issues which are conflicting issues where people have opinions, and that kind of creates a lot of trust and safety issues
Yeah.
on the data. So that's the second part. That's a big challenge that we have to get ahead of. And the third thing, I think, from our perspective, is enterprise readiness. Enterprise readiness is a big challenge for Gen AI because Gen AI does not get implemented on its own.
Right.
It has to be implemented into the enterprises.
Right.
And when we're talking about enterprises, the tech stacks of all the enterprises, as well as the way they've kept their data today, labeled their data today, annotated all of it today, needs to be in readiness for Gen AI implementation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another big challenge, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of enterprises are actually struggling with their tech stacks and data to be ready to implement anything on the Gen AI
Yeah.
side. So those are
Yeah.
the three big challenges.
It really isn't a plug and play type of technology, and I think a lot of people maybe think that or assume that it's easy to implement. I mean, but like you said, it takes real governance and a huge infrastructure to really maximize its benefits. So, listening to what you just said, Amit, doesn't this now create opportunities, new jobs, new roles, new functions for so many, right? Because now we're going to need data curators, prompt engineers, AI trainers. I mean, I think that there's a whole host of new functions now
Absolutely.
that'll
There
come
is, it
out.
creates a huge net new opportunity.
Yeah. Now, how does Concentrix come in then to help solve some of these challenges that you spoke about earlier?
Yeah, so going back to the trust and safety challenge, we've got trust and safety as a practice across Concentrix.
Right.
We've been investing a lot on the trust and safety practice for years, and we've got expertise to really solve the trust and safety challenge in terms of how we moderate content, how we flag content, how we take down content, how do we get our tools in to make sure, and empowered human beings to make sure that that kind of content is filtered
Yeah.
whenever there is an enterprise use of a content. So we've got significant expertise in the area of trust and safety. In the area of enterprise readiness, our teams have been helping lots of our clients get ready with Gen AI implementations,
Mm-hmm.
and we do a ton of stuff around it. Looking at, for example, the tech stacks of our clients,
Mm-hmm.
going through and saying, can we transform from their legacy tech stacks to new tech stacks which are more conducive to Gen AI implementations. Looking at their data sets and seeing how their data is stored today.
Mm-hmm.
We've got deep expertise when it comes to data engineers who can do end-to-end transformation of the data, so that it is more ready, more structured, more labeled, more annotated to be able to get integrated with Gen AI.
Yeah.
Knowledge bases, our teams have
Yes.
deep expertise in coming up and improving the knowledge bases of the client, so that when a prompt is made,
Yeah.
it is easier for the LLM and the Gen AI solution to go back and find the right response. So a number of these things that we're very, very good at. We've been doing it for years,
Yeah.
and puts us right in the center of implementations for a lot of enterprises and clients.
So if you're listening and looking for a partner for Gen AI, Concentrix, I'm just trying to make a little bit of a pitch there. But yes, great stuff, Amit. Now let's talk a little bit about some of our use cases in Concentrix, Amit. So I'll start. We've got self-serve bots. Obviously, this is more around containment and volume deflection. Generative AI would help us better listen and route and respond to the customers' queries from the beginning, right? And that's really what self-serve is all about. And then, of course, we've got Smart Assist, which is very close to my heart, personally, very close to my heart. Smart Assist AI or Smart Assist CX has our 4 modules, 4 different functions that enable us to really enhance the customer experience and also make life easier for our game changers. We've got conversational AI, which provides us with 100% analytics on 100% of customer interactions. We can derive customer sentiment. We can look at trends. That's conversational AI. It also comes with coaching AI, which of course is an amazing tool. At the end of a call, a game changer, an agent basically can ask, what did I do well on? And this also helps our supervisors coach more effectively and prepare more effectively for coaching. We've got Knowledge AI as well in the Smart Assist CX suite. And this one is a tool that talks directly to the knowledge base, the FAQ articles, the SharePoints of our clients. So then our game changers can very simply, just like working with ChatGPT or any other LLM, can very simply ask a question and it'll come back with the accurate answer based on all of those articles. No more searching through those knowledge bases, and it comes back and provides the right answer in context. The last one is real-time assist, which has auto call summarization as well. Again, these are things that help our game changers become more effective in serving their customers and answering their needs. Real-time assist basically can give prompts to remind the game changer what's the next best action and enable us to be more accurate in what we need to do. So a lot of stuff. Now we've also got a lot of things around internal efficiencies, Amit. So let's talk a little bit about that.
And Lara, you picking up the right used cases of where we can go deeper with the Gen AI technology, because there are millions of places where we can go with it, but we have to prioritize and see, where is it, where is this the maximum bang for the buck, as they say it. So absolutely, the area of self-serve is big for us, and the advancements that we've done in the recent few months is very, very pleasing to see. The Smart Assist CX is another great technology, as you mentioned, and I think this will one change the lives of our game changers completely, but also help elevate the responses that the end consumers are getting to a completely different level. Apart from all the other things like efficiency and productivity, which will be the byproduct benefits for sure. Internal efficiencies is also a big area which we're going after. Now look at all the back office teams or the back end teams which are supporting all our clients, be it human resources, be it finance, be it training and quality, be it WFM. Each of these verticals has their own used cases on Gen AI, because they can drive a lot of automation and efficiency by using this technology and becoming more efficient. We can pick a few examples. WFMs do real-time management in almost all large contact centers. That real-time management can happen through Gen AI, so that our people can do more complex jobs in the WFM area, like complex reporting, insights, and analytics. So it frees up the bandwidth to do more complex work on the internal side as well. Human resources does a ton of work around employee data management. All the employee data management work can happen through Gen AI, which means that the people in human resources will have more bandwidth to do engagement and well-being and those kind of aspects with our staff and game changers. So really, it will not only create efficiency by making things more faster, but will also provide the bandwidth to do things which are more important and create more value for the organization. And in all of this, as we become more efficient, the benefits will get passed on to the clients. So I think very exciting time for us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me today, Amit, on our very first episode.
Thank you for having me.
Stay tuned for our next Tech Talk episode, where you're going to hear from another exciting guest. Please don't forget to like, share, and follow us on our social media pages, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Facebook. This has been your host, Larah Santamaria. I do hope you will continue to join us as we build next generation solutions in this ever-changing world. See you again. Wait.
I'm telling you, you've got a professional host this time.